Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the podcast where a real statistics professor
And the goose to his maverick, Jake.
gives you sports betting tips. I'm Professor Sides. You can follow me and find all my picks on Twitter at Professor Sides. Today is Thursday, January 20th, 2022, and this episode covers today's best college basketball bets. In case you're new here, I built a mathematical model that predicts what the spread and total should be for every Division I college basketball game. That information, along with a graded A, B, or C against the spread pick for each of today's games, is available in the Google Sheet that is linked in the show's description. Picks that get an A are the ones I love, picks that get a B are the ones I like, and picks that get a C are the lanes. However, please remember that good and bad variance will occur. So as much as I'd like to say the model will be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Jake, the overall model turned a small profit yesterday. Otherwise, what did we learn yesterday?
We learned that there's no more longer a question. Marquette is a good team. They are going to be something to watch out for. Winning on the road at Villanova is tough, and they pull it off. I mean, they've got in their last 5 wins, they've beat Providence, Seton Hall, and now Nova. So that's an incredible resume builder, and they should be looking at even better if they keep it growing because they get Xavier, they go at Seton Hall, at Providence, and then Villanova and UConn in the next 5. So they got a chance to really jump up their seed and possibly even win the Big East, which would be very surprising, but I hope they do it. And then Oklahoma State is a sneaky good defensive team, especially at home. They forced 22 turnovers last night. That's a lot. And they've done that to a few teams now.
Baylor.
Home, and it's makes them really hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. That Oklahoma State TCU game last night, definitely defense was on display there. I think it's interesting. You highlighted both the Big East and the Big 12, and I feel like I like a lot of teams in both of those conferences. A lot of teams are really hard to go against. I mean, Oklahoma State playing really well lately. TCU last night gets the cover. Baylor comes back, gets that great road win at West Virginia. I mean, you got a lot of teams there that you're like, I don't really want to fade any of these teams. The Big East is the same way. I mean, between the Marquettes and Seton Hall, and we'll talk about Providence here in just a minute. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of teams here. You just
DePaul,
got DePaul,
especially at home. Is tough.
Absolutely. Last night getting the cover there. A lot of teams that I just feel like, I like backing them. It's like at some point they all play each other. What are you going to do? Right. So you got two really good conferences there in the Big East and the Big 12 that are a lot of fun to watch. And it's really hard emotionally watching these games to figure out who you like backing the most, because it's a lot of teams that offer a lot of things that make you feel good when you put your hard-earned money behind them. And speaking of that, that's where we'll kick today's off. We have a nice slate today, 4 p.m. Georgetown at Providence. We talked about the Big East being really good. Georgetown is not. The model makes this Providence minus 14.5. I'm kicking us off with an A pick here, Providence minus 11. It's a lot of points, but my goodness, Georgetown just seems to get run out of the building once a week, especially in a loaded Big East. Tonight seems like that opportunity here. And a standalone game. Jake, what's your pick?
I'm with you on Providence. I think Georgetown is just very bad. They've lost the last 3 games by at least 14. And a couple of those were pushing 20-ish, 5-ish. They turned the ball over at nearly 15 a game, and they are in the bottom third of defense. So they're like ranking 222nd in defensive efficiency. It's not going to do them any favors against a team like Providence that's very balanced and just a much better, more talented team. And I think the long COVID layoff has made people kind of forget about Providence.
Mm-hmm.
They have an impressive resume with wins at Wisconsin versus Texas Tech, UConn, and Seton Hall already. And I mean, at home, it's not even going to be fun to watch. They should just beat this poor Georgetown team out of the gym. It's not even close.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think this is when you can watch the first half. I think it'll get ugly, and then you can go ahead and have dinner, and then tune into the games that tip off after that. Going from one former NBA legend coaching a team to another, we've got 6 p.m. SMU at Memphis. The model thinks that Memphis should win this game, but only by about 4. So I've got a B pick on SMU +6. Memphis is just so poorly coached, and it's fascinating to see. You have Penny Hardaway there, who is for sure bringing in a lot of talent. I don't want to take that away, and talent alone can really help, but there's just something missing with the development, with how they execute. I don't know how much longer he's going to have at Memphis because all the talent in the world just isn't seeming to translate for them. Jake, what's your take?
I'm with you. I'm on SMU. I think there's a decent chance they win outright, but
Yeah,
and I think a lot of it is due to Penny, and he's not a great X's and O's coach, and I'm not sure. I think he gets a lot of credit for being a great recruiter when, to my knowledge, the majority of the guys he's brought in were ones he coached in AU.
Mm-hmm.
So having the pre-established relationship, let's see where he's at. Like if he makes it for like next year and the year after. Let's see what kind of recruiter he's doing. They play at such a frantic pace, and a lot of that is due to how poorly they take care of the ball. They lead. They're close to leading the nation with 18 a game, turning the ball over, and that's just very tough. And
I think you used the wrong. I think leading isn't the right word there.
yeah.
We got to find some other word. Yeah, exactly.
But they are just terribly inconsistent. You know, they beat a good Alabama team that was coming off riding high from beating Gonzaga and Houston, and they beat a very good Cincinnati team. But they've also lost to a terrible Georgia team and a Murray State team that they just had more talent on. And I think it's also telling about Penny that some of these major recruits that he's had, one, Wiseman quit on him during the middle of the year because NCAA stuff. Quit might not be the right word, but stop playing. DJ Jeffries and Boogie Ellis are gone, like transferred out, and those are some of his key players. They're on different teams this year, so it's kind of something to keep an eye on. But this SMU team is actually pretty good. They're playing really good in their last 3 games. They've got a guy named Kendrick Davis who's just fun to watch. He's just a very good player. But as a team, they shoot the ball well, shooting 45 from the floor, 74 from the free throw line, and 37 from the 3-point arc. They don't force a lot of turnovers, but they don't give it away. So I think Memphis might not hit their 18 number, but I still think they'll be like the 13 to 15 range. And that's going to be too much for a team that's as good offensively as SMU is.
Yep, I agree. I'm calling this the drop a comment game. Go ahead and drop a comment if you're on YouTube. Tell us, do you think that Penny Hardaway will be the coach of Memphis starting next season? I feel like that's definitely a question mark if he's going to make it through the year and into next season. Drop a comment. Tell us which side you think, which side you're on there, if he will be there starting next season. Also at 6 p.m., maybe the game of the night here, big rivalry game in the Hoosier State, Purdue at Indiana. I'm taking over 143 points. The model makes us 145.5. This should be a great game to watch, a fun one to watch. Purdue is a short road favorite here, and maybe even an OT or a frantic finish is kind of the cherry on top as to why I like this over. This has got us to the over on Monday for Purdue, Illinois, going overtime. So I see a similar dynamic here and a similar type of game. Jake, what's your pick for this one?
Yeah, I like the over. It makes sense. I think with the way Purdue plays, that is a good call, and it's going to force Indiana to pick it up offensively. But I'm on Purdue minus 3.5. They're the much better team all around, and just like we saw with Illinois, when they have 2 big guys that can bang against the one really good one Indiana has, just like Illinois Kofi, that is kind of going to knock him out. And in their previous matchup, like going back to last year when Zach Edey started to turn it on, he absolutely owned this Indiana team, and Trace Jackson Davis held him to 12-5, and while he had 20-9, and that was and not starting and playing much fewer minutes. Like it's really incredible the improvement he has had. Purdue is 5th in the nation at 3-point percentage and 2nd in true shooting percentage. So I think there will be a lot of points because Indiana doesn't take care of the ball very well, and Purdue shoots the ball from the free throw line fairly well, and Indiana likes to foul, especially down low with Race Thompson and the other guys they bring in down there, because they're averaging about 17 a game, and I think that's going to get them in trouble. And I think that's what pushes Purdue to 5 to 10 point lead win.
Yep, that sounds good. We need a bunch of fouls late there, get us the Purdue win, and then get us the over for us here. Two late Pac-12 games, both 10 p.m. Central tips that we're going to cover here. Arizona at Stanford. I'm actually going to go under 151 on this one. The model thinks it should be 147 and a half. Arizona's about a 10-ish point favorite. And my thought on this one is the number is just a little bit too high. Arizona can score at will, but Arizona seems to have stretches where they don't score at all. They play good defense, and the score just kind of, comes, grinds to a halt. And I think that's a possibility here, especially if Arizona runs away with this game. If Arizona gets up, 15 in the second half, this is a game that could really get boring in that second half and slow the pace down. So I like the under here, especially knowing that Arizona might go into Stanford and just run them out of the gym. Jake, what's your take?
I think that's what happens. So I think your under is a pretty good call because I think Arizona is just going to blow Stanford out of the water. And I mean, even the home court advantage Stanford has drops because they're not having any fans.
Absolutely.
And it's like just it's going to be a very boring game because Arizona is a top tier team in Stanford.
Absolutely.
They're also very underrated defensively. They're ranked third in the nation in defensive efficiency, and they're on the they've been forcing turnovers at an incredible clip. But it's going to be a boring game to watch, and Arizona is going to just run away with it. So I think your under is pretty good.
Yep, I agree with that. And then from the class of the Pac-12 to the team who is trying to become that, UCLA, also a 10 p.m. Central tip at Utah. I think this is one we disagree on here. I've got an A pick on Utah +9. The model thinks UCLA -7. My take on this is that UCLA is no Arizona, that Arizona is the best team in the Pac-12 by a long shot. UCLA has been a little disappointing this year, and odds makers, in my opinion and in the model's opinion, are giving UCLA a little bit too much respect for them to go on the road and win this game by double digits. I do think they win, but I just think that there are more scenarios where Utah loses by 7, 8, something in that neighborhood, that UCLA just destroys them, just because UCLA hasn't really done what we thought they would do. But Jake, you being on the opposite, I'm curious to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has more to do with Utah just not being very good. They have lost 8 of their last 10, including to the entire state of Oregon, Washington, and Arizona. So it's not going to be a very good. They're just not very good.
Yeah.
I think UCLA is a fraud team. I think they get too much respect in the polls and everywhere, but I think this number is about right because they're just a better team because Utah is that bad. They've been very disappointing this year, but I kind of expected that. Just because I think they were more hot at the right time last year than they were the right team.
And everyone saw it with like almost literally the eyes of the nation on them, but performing as well as they did. There was literally nowhere to go but down from that, right?
Yeah. What's funny is the Pac-12 did that several times last year with Oregon State making that run through the tournament, and I think they made it to the Sweet 16. But
that incredible run to win the conference when they were really low seed. I don't remember how bad it was, way down at the bottom.
I think they were the last seed.
Were they the last seed? I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say that because I don't want to be misquoted. But yeah, they were way down at the bottom.
Yeah, but I think UCLA covers tonight because Utah's that bad.
Yeah, it's interesting how this. So I feel like we're both just like, oh, the other team just isn't as good. It's like, well, I guess someone has to do something impressive tonight. Maybe not. Maybe they'll both find a way to disappoint somehow. I've got some themed buzzer beaters for us here. I've got the A+ pick of the day. UC San Diego -2 versus Long Beach State. I think they can win. I think they're the better team. I've got the dog of the day, the underdog that I think has a good chance to just win outright, Tennessee State +2.5 at Southeast Missouri State. Note, I am 7-4 backing Tennessee State this year and 8-2 fading Southeast Missouri State. So I think Tennessee State +2.5. I think take money line on that one. I think they go on the road and get the win. I've got the best B-side of all the B picks, the best one, Santa Clara +9 at St. Mary's. We talked about this, no fans in the stands. That's too many points for two teams that I think are closer than people realize. I've got the plug and play, the plug your nose and play. This is the game that is going to be ugly. The dog you do not want to take plug your nose and play them. IUPUI plus 15 versus Wright State. Wright State hasn't done well with these big numbers this year. They haven't covered them. It's a low total. IUPUI tends to like to play their games in about the 110s. I think that'll get a little higher tonight, but that's kind of where they end up playing a lot of these games. With a low total and a lot of points is a good combination. And the last one here, I've got a little afternoon delight for you. Noon Eastern time, North Florida plus 23 at Florida State. I'm banking on the fact that Florida State is going to still be asleep for this one in a game that they don't care about, given they've got conference worries. I just think that's too many points. They sleep through either the first or the second half, and North Florida can cover the 23 points. Jake, what are your buzzer beaters?
Unfortunately, I don't have good themed ones like you. I just have, the regular buzzer beaters. I've got Chattanooga -3.5. I think they're a much better team than the UNC Greensboro. I like Belmont because they're still going to be coming out angry. Because they've got to really prove something to have a chance to get in the tournament. So they've got to really beat down these teams they're better than. And I think Butler's terrible, so I'm on UConn. I think UConn gets them by 15 or so. But I think that North Florida pick is a good one. I think Florida State's a big letdown game after that big win against Duke. And I really like the Tennessee State pick. They're a better team than what people realize.
Yep, absolutely. And that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Picks with the Professor. A reminder to check out that Google Sheet for all picks and totals on today's games. I got more A picks for you there if you want to check out that Google Sheet. If you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button. We will get you a new episode every weekday of the college basketball season. We will see you tomorrow. And until then, remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.